Hi everyone, I'm Leonora. Welcome to Soul Searching Tarot, where I integrate astrology and tarot card reading, which is what I'm doing today. I do that. um, and sometimes I do talk about some type of consciousness or tantrum, which is kind of both. But today I do want to read for all signs. I'm reading for all signs. It's going to be a miniature reading. I want to touch on how Saturn is affecting you, and it's affecting everybody. Yeah, Saturn has come home in his home sign, like literally his home sign, which is Capricorn. And so my viewers that have a sun in Capricorn, oh my God, please pay attention. If it doesn't resonate in your sun sign, no matter what it is, it doesn't have to be Capricorn. And you know your birth charts, because I always talk about birth charts, and you know how you always have to look it up. I always leave the link so that you could copy and paste it, click on it if YouTube happens to help to let you click on it. If not, write it down. But it's astro.cafeastrology /birth chart or natal chart. Just put in your date of birth, the time that you were born. It's essential. But if you don't know it, that's fine. It'll still give you your birth chart. It just don't go by the ascending sign or your north lunar nodes and south nodes, and that's pretty much it. And your Saturn, of course. How can we forget? What house does Saturn sit on your birth chart? Okay, so I will read for all, basically how Saturn is affecting us as a collective for all signs. I know I'm repeating myself, just making sure you understand what's going on in this video. And on top of that, I'm going to give you a message. And hopefully this little message, not my message that comes through me or downloads, not this time, but messages through my tarot, my oracle cards, I should say. My oracle cards are all about messages. And so, again, it's going to be a miniature reading for all signs. But before I go into it, because I know I'm going to go into a part 2, I wanted to talk about Saturn, our planet, how that affects our planet. You know, Saturn transits and retrogrades and pretty much just goes into every house, 12 houses, for about 28 to 30 years. After that, it's gone. You know, it's a very cold and dark planet. And so you have to understand that if your sun is in Capricorn, and just a little quick side note, if your sun is in Capricorn and you were born between 1988 and 1991, and you are a Capricorn, because that was the last time Saturn came to visit us, expect life changes. If not, it probably has happened to you. So for those born those 1988 between 1991, yeah, that was the last time Saturn was around us, and it will affect you either through your sun sign as a Capricorn or through your moon sign as a Capricorn. And if your Saturn is in Capricorn, it will affect you. Yeah. I mean, by now you guys are adults, right? So just brace for impact is what I have to say for that. And embrace the energy. Brace for impact and embrace the energy. There's nothing you can do about it. Just let it go. Just shrug your shoulders, just like I did before I started this video. When I started this video, I had a sneezing attack. I was fine for like 2 days, and I had a sneezing attack for whatever reason, and I was just like this. I just have to wait another half hour to get on camera. So I'm just tired of being like so sick, like literally like stuffed up and drinking tea, and I don't even take medicine anymore. I'm like, forget it. It's not gonna help me. But yes, just embrace the energy, folks. Okay, for those born around those years, with the sun in Capricorn or a moon in Capricorn. So again, I want to repeat this again. Know your birth charts. It's important that you know your birth chart, because if I'm reading for you and it doesn't resonate in your sun sign, whatever that is, Scorpio, I'm a sun in Scorpio, or Aries, or Sagittarius, that's okay. Look at your moon sign and see if you have a Capricorn there. And if you don't, that's fine too. But look at it, because moon represents, it's your inner feelings. But if your moon is in Capricorn, it will affect you big time, more than the other placements. If your Saturn's in Capricorn, that also will affect you more than the other placements. The opposite polarity of Capricorn is Cancer. So if you have Cancer in any of the placements, Sun, Mercury, Mars, Moon, Venus, Saturn, I have my Saturn in Cancer. I have no Capricorn in placement, but that's okay, because where does Capricorn lay on my chart? Saturn, right? Because Saturn rules Capricorn. So remember, the planets affect the house. So even though I have no Capricorn in my chart, in my birth chart, like none whatsoever, it does affect me still, because my Saturn is in Cancer, and Cancer is a polar opposite of Capricorn. So I look at Capricorn readings sometimes, because I resonate with the Capricorn readings. I don't resonate with Cancer at all, like whatsoever. So it's just funny how those little things work, and I have birth chart videos to explain that. My last birth chart video was I graduated to ascending signs and north, south lunar nodes, and how that affects you. It affects you, folks. It affects you. But I'm not going to go too much into that in this video, obviously. But what is Saturn? Saturn has a bit of a bad reputation. Listen, in tarot, it's the devil. But it has been associated with death, misery. But on a light note, and I wouldn't say light, I would say, when it comes to Capricorn, on a serious note, it does have it's a powerful placement, by the way. Saturn's a very powerful placement, but it does represent work, responsibility, the lessons in life. All right, so again, check your Saturn and what house it sits on. I'll tell you a little bit about me later on, because, I like to air out my dirty laundry according to my birth charts. According to my birth chart. All right. So that's about it. I wanted to talk about also, like, I did a Capricorn video a while ago, and I talk about the mythological story behind Cronus and his son Zeus. That's a pretty disturbing, interesting story. I would listen to it. I'll leave the link if I remember, but it's Capricorn video part 1. But it can give you an in-depth experience of the god of time, on how the clash of the Titans came about, the demise of the Golden Age. Excuse me for a second. I hate to blow my nose on camera. I just have to deal with it. This is fucking Saturn. You just gotta fucking deal with it, right? You would think that my Saturn isn't like, my God, why is she always ill? Her Saturn placement must be in a very awful physical placement. But it's not actually. I don't know why I'm always stuffed up. I'm actually stuffed up 200 days of the year out of the 365 days. All right. So let's talk a little bit more about the planet. Okay. Let's talk about the restriction, the limitation. Let's talk about the higher positions you get, because it's all about career and objective, your goals, the practical ideas and circumstances, the cause and effect. Cause and effect is let me just sit on the cause and effect for a while. So I just want you to know that Saturn was considered our first sun in the ancient evil years. We're around the world. Doesn't matter if it's Arizona, Egypt, Babylon, Armenia. These people carved the same images, and it was a calendar wheel, for the most part, of the sky. And they considered Saturn to be the sun. The way the alignment was back in the ancient days, it looked like Saturn was the sun, then Venus, then Mars, the moon. And even though there was a sun, it's not like there wasn't a sun. The sun just highlighted these alignments, and it made it, you'll see these little pictures that, with this little circular, and it almost looks like a flower, depending if it was off axis or on axis, meaning how it was, where and when it was rotating. Remember, it rotates through the 12 zodiac signs, through the 12 constellations, every 28 to 30 years. And that was their calendar wheel. That was their first astrology calendar, if I had to describe it. But that was their calendar wheel. But because of the demise, the chaos, the primeval war with the clash of the gods, the Titans, it's not in the way the planets are now aligned, and technology has advanced, and now we know that there's other planets and stuff like that. And the Greeks, the Romans, they all the Judaism, they all have a story, and it pretty much represents the same thing. Some of it might have been misconstrued by people's imagination, but it pretty much means the same thing. How the hell does that happen? And people sit here and say, oh, that's superstitious. Oh, come on. You don't believe in that stuff. But the cause and effect on how these historians, whether they're scientists, whether they're astronomers, mathematicians, they all came to a conclusion that by the time they did their calculations and explored these ancient stories, that the alignment of the planets was very different back then. Saturn is considered the first sun. And so when I tell you to go to my Capricorn video, part 1, it talks about Cronus. You'll see how the cause and effect When I mean the cause and effect, I mean the planet of karma, because that's Saturn. It's Capricorn, the planet of karma. So I just want to know that I just want you to know, I'm sorry, that there is a lesson to be learned out there, because that's what it represents. Lessons learned, cause and effect. Excuse me. God, I hate being sick on camera. All right. I showed this in part 5 of my birth chart, but I'm going to say this really quick before I click off and move on. This is the calendar wheel that I draw up. This is like my calendar wheel as far as zodiac signs. And I was talking about this in part 5 as far as ascending signs. Ascending sign and sun signs are very different from each other. Ascending signs is the mask you wear every 2 hours, or maybe one mask during the day and another mask at nighttime. So you can only get your ascending sign if you know the time you were born, by the way. It's the only way you could get your ascending sign, because it changes every 2 hours. The earth takes 24 hours to rotate. There's 12 zodiacs in the house, or there's 12 houses in the zodiac signs. And every 2 hours, it switches to another constellation when it rotates. So where was the sun rising on the east when you were born? Wherever the sun was rising in the east is a representation of Saturn. And then we have Mars here. So Saturn and Mars, when they come together, whatever your ascending sign is, or mostly your sun sign, whatever it is, for me it's Scorpio and Sun, and my ascending is in Pisces. That's your soul. So the way you behave, the way you feel, the drive, your anger, whatever the case may be, has nothing to do with your sun sign. That's your other placements. Venus, Moon, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, your journey in life, the lessons you have to learn, those are other placements. It has nothing to do with you being, a sun in Leo, or a sun in Aquarius. That's just your soul coming out. Your moon, in case you don't know, because I am asking you to look at all these placements in case whatever I read doesn't resonate. Look at the other placements, especially if you have a moon in Capricorn. What does a moon represent? Well, it's emotions and your inner personality, how you think and how you receive information. Also the way that you react. It's your inner personality. Capricorn. I think I said what Capricorn meant, right? Recognition, legacy, career, objectives. On the shadow side, it's depression, suicide, death. I don't know how many suicide I've counted, either through celebrity or through personal, through my personal life in the last few years that has happened. Saturn has been here with us for quite some time. Sagittarius was the last sign it was in. Now it's in Capricorn. It's going to go into Aquarius next year for a little while, but it's going to go back to Capricorn. By the time it leaves Capricorn, it's not going to be till like December of 2020. And it's going to go into another house, okay? It's going to go through every house. All right, so I pretty much wanted to say that, I did say that I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience of having Saturn in my Saturn in Cancer, which is my birth chart, and how that affected me. And I know sometimes people may or may not care, and I'm just saying this just in case you're confused about what the Saturn has to do with the reading, Leonore. A lot, in case you haven't heard me in the last 15 minutes. So I have Saturn in Capricorn. I'm sorry, Saturn in Cancer. The polar opposite is Capricorn, but I have Saturn in the house of Cancer. What does Cancer represent? Well, Cancer is the fourth house. It represents security and home and nurturing mommy, or the lack of nurturing mommy. It represents just comfort, you know? And so the fact that my Saturn was in Cancer, I wasn't really meant to have these things, at least for a long period of time. Really was not meant to have these things. And so at my age now, because if I would have known this at 17 or 20, 21 years old, I would have been like, whatever. Having birth charts really affect you more in your mid-30s and above. It's your journey. It's your blueprint of your personality. At least the 4 first planets: the sun, ascending if you know it, moon, Mercury, Mars, Venus. That's the core of who you are. But the rest really represents the journey. The journey of where you'll be going. And so, having a Saturn in Cancer, for me, my age, I came to a conclusion. As much as I wanted, security and comfort, it never really came to me, or I never really embraced it. Even when I had it, I didn't embrace it and took advantage of it. And so I always had a fear of security because Cancer represents security. I always had a fear and anxiety of security. And I could pretty much blame that on my South lunar node. In case you don't know what that means, just look at birth chart part 5, because I kind of graduated from the basics of birth charts. But my Saturn definitely affects my security. My mom was my security. She passed away a few years back, but she was my mom. She was my nurture. She was my comfort. And my sun in Scorpio, she is basically, not only did she give birth to me, but she's someone that meant so much to me, that for me to have lost her, that was taken away from me at a young age. I mean, not that young, but I was pretty young. I'm not a very emotional person, and Cancer represents emotion, and it's ruled by the moon. And I have 2 beautiful children. But don't ask me about having emotions when it comes to them. I have an Aqua moon, I have an Aquarius moon, and they're all about detachment. But my Virgo, it's my Virgo descending. Yeah, my Virgo descending, and my Scorpio, I need to make sure that my children are being fed, are going to school, they're having health care, even though I let them live their personality is to me is has nothing to do with me. I can only give them guidance, but I'm not, you know, they'll tell you that one of my son is an Aquarius, so he kind of gets it. He's like this, but his moon is in Taurus, so that's his emotions, and Taurus is all about feelings too, and it's ruled by Venus. So he always tells me he loves me, and I'm like this. Yeah, okay, I love you back. I mean, in my culture, we never really said I love you, especially the men in my family. My father was not like that. But he was, the funny thing is that he was a Taurus. It was only in his old age that he became more emotion. He had more of emotion, his emotions come out. And also my reality. My reality was kind of distorted at one point in my growing up life because Cancer also represents reality. And my Pisces ascending, you know, that dreamy planet, it was all about escapism for me. Like I just, whatever I needed to do to escape reality, I was there and I did it. I know people who have Cancer in Gemini, and they always have some fucking technological problem. The planet of communication. Gemini is the planet of communication. The planet affects the house, so don't forget, we're looking at the planet, the restriction and the limitations and the time and the good and bad karma and how that affects the house. And that, oh my God, the person, he always struggles with, you know, his computer. Poor guy. I'm like this. That's Saturn in Gemini. I know people with Saturn and, oh God, what's a good planet? I've read so many other birth charts. But, you know, Saturn in Scorpio. So what does Scorpio represent? Income. Always struggling with income. This person is always struggling with income and the loss of relationships. The backstabbing, psychological mind games, and that's Scorpio. That's his Cancer in Scorpio. But eventually, you know, as malefic as these planets are, and even the ones that you're looking at right here, they're pretty much malefic. Capricorn, Aries, Libra, Cancer, they could be pretty malefic depending on where it's placed. Sun, Moon, Saturn, Mars. It's up to you to kind of learn your lesson about it, and it's not going to stop the journey that you're going to go through life. It's still going to happen. But it's up to you to really learn your lesson and embrace the energy that's going on now, folks. And that's the only reason why I'm talking about Saturn. And I know I go on a tantrum. Listen, whatever. My Gemini is one of my. Everybody has a bit of every sign. You know, don't you think that you only have one sun sign and then that's it? In your life, it's like, oh my God, I live as a Leo and I'm going to die as a Leo. No, that's not the way it works. But I know I do talk too much. Let's go on with the reading. So remember, I'm reading to see how Saturn is affecting you. All right. So I'm going to start. I always go in order for the most part. Maybe one day I may change my mind and not do it in order. But I'm going to start with Aries, okay? Sorry. Aries through Pisces. All right. So I'm going to, let's see, which I'm like thinking, should I click off and just start my reading, or should I just begin with Aries? Let's start with the babies. Oh my God. Aries. Seriously? Like, seriously. First card to turn over. I had shuffled these cards. I always shuffle my cards before I get on camera. Do you know what this represents to me, Aries? You're going through it right now. The 20 minutes, 25 minutes that I spent talking about Saturn and how it affects your placement, this is it right here. Either through some bondage, some relationship that you may not want to be in. And that's okay. We all have karmic relationships that we don't want to be in, but we learn our lessons through it, right? That's how we grow. It could also mean career, could mean household, depending on your placement. Look where your Saturn is, and it'll show you exactly where the devil energy is taking over. Look at it. I just wanted you to get a real good look at it. I'm sorry about I'm trying to find a good placement where you don't see the glare. This is my new Mythic Tarot. Not all devils look like that in tarot cards. But how the fuck am I talking about Saturn? Knowing full and well that I just told you it means the devil in tarot. And this is the first card that flipped over. I'm going to leave it here because I don't know what this is telling me, Aries, yet. I'm going to take out 2 cards. I have 4 decks here. Didn't even get to say what I wanted to say. I have my new Mythic, I have my Native American Tarot, I have my Wildwood Tarot, and I want to give you an oracle message in my Animal Tarot cards, okay? So 7 of Cups. Options could be options. This is from the Native American Tarot. You see 2 people fishing. There's a salmon. It's going upstream, I guess. I think that if I had to say anything, Aries, your options, for some reason, I don't find the devil to be so bad in this spread that I'm doing for you, Aries. The fact that it came out with the 7 of Cups, it means that you will have options. But for some reason, I feel like you're not looking at it. You're kind of... all right, whatever options this was, or is, you had the opportunity, and I feel like that might, because there's only 1 salmon, you see like that 1 salmon, and like there's 2 people, and the 7 of Cups means, it means options, sometimes it means illusions or dreams. Whatever dream that you have, it's coming to you. And look how the fish is like literally about to swim upstream right into those poles, the sticks that you used to, that the Native Americans used to fish. With the devil, to me, it means that you may have some type of illusion to what area in life you want to pick. or what person you want to pick. This could also mean person. It just doesn't have to be career. You could have options in finance, business, and you're trying to figure out which is the best avenue for you. I'm going to clarify with my wildwood really quick. But yeah, I really don't see it as a bad thing. I know that the devil, and I was just talking about the devil and how he basically, Saturn is the devil, but... All right, so Knight of Wands. Yeah, this is business, guys. Yeah, Aries. So Knight of Wands is a sign. It's a fire sign. It's either you, Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. Look at this cute little fox. Look how he's looking at the options, I feel. And he found the option and he's gonna go for it. So it may be a new endeavor for you. And then it could also mean a new relationship for you. But whatever it is, you're going for it. You're looking at it, you're contemplating, but you need to go for it. So let's see what the message is for you, Aries, and then I'm going to click off and we'll move on to the other signs, okay? Since I talked a hole in your ear. I don't care. All right. So the star came out in the tarot, the animal tarot. The star means Aquarius. It's a major arcana, just like the devil is a major arcana. You are about to take a big leap forward with your life. Worry will be replaced with optimism, fear with hope, and joy is coming home to roost. All right. So I hope that was clear enough for you, Aries. Whatever it is, whatever options that you're thinking about, whether it's career, new endeavors, a relationship, I feel like you have your eye on it already. Whatever it is, go for it with some type of optimism. Remember, optimism. The devil already has a plan for you. And then remember, it's good or bad karma. You might have paid your debt. Because if you don't pay, you don't play when it comes to the Saturn energy. So good luck with that. All right, I'm going to tune off. I'm going to blow my nose. And I'm going to start with Gemini, the second house. Sorry, Taurus. So Taurus is the second house. Why do I always do that? Taurus is next, will be the first in part 2 of this video, and I'll finish it, go all the way through Pisces. All right, thank you so much. See you in part 2.